Ahoj lidi.
I would like to welcome you at my morning talk show.
Rád bych vás uvítal na své ranní talk show.
And yesterday I was talking about how other people sees us.
Včera jsem mluvil o tom, jak nás vidí ostatní.
And today I would love to in this talk show focus more on how other people sees us. Yesterday I was talking how I see myself.
Včera jsem mluvil o tom, jak my vidíme sami sebe, ale teď budu mluvit o tom, jak nás vidí ostatní.
So I think the people that shapes us the most is actually our family.
Myslím, že lidé, kteří nás nejvíce ovlivňují, jsou naše vlastní rodina.
So I would like to invite here few people from different families so we can see how it actually affected them.
Rád bych tady pozval pár lidí z různých rodin, abychom viděli, jak jejich rodina ovlivňovala, utvářela je.
So first of them will be David, our worship leader. So please give him a hand. Hi, David.
Čau, Davide.
So in advance, I was looking for some information about David, so you can know him a bit more. And he wasn't prepared for this, so I will read something what I found about him, right?
Filip nám teď řekne něco o Davidovi.
Okay. So what I found is, honestly, this guy has a great sense of humor and willingness to help. It is a young man who inspires people to get better and not to live comfortably. He is determined and patient in reaching his goals. His sister, which is my girlfriend, says about him. Yeah, relationships are, hard. He could be quite annoying. As siblings, we used to hate each other. The older he gets, the more respect I have for him. Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Budina, man whose sister will soon become my wife. So, I don't know if you actually get it, that here is a theme song for this festival, which is Hello, My Name Is. And if you was watching the screen in front of every program, it's there. And there are these words, how people are feeling this song. So I would love to ask David, how would you feel this sentence?
Well, I would say, hello, my name is, and then actually the name of this festival, Challenge Accepted.
Řekl bych, moje jméno je výzva přijata.
And I'll tell you why, because every time there's something crazy to do,
Protože pokaždé, když je nějaká šílená věc
and nobody wants to do it,
a nikdo ji nechce udělat,
just come to me and tell me, hey David, I bet you can't do it.
Přišle za mnou a řekněte, Davide, já se vsadím, že ty tohle neuděláš.
And I will do it.
A já to udělám.
Okay, so who do you have this after, or who do you think you are more after? After your mom or after your dad?
Well, I would say I'm more like my mom if I'm talking about my personality.
Řekl bych, že pokud se bavíme o osobnosti, tak jsem spíše po mamce.
Because she's an extrovert, I'm an extrovert, and she hates when she's alone, and that's the same with me.
Protože moje mamka je extrovert, já jsem extrovert, moje mamka je nerada sama a já taktéž.
But there are two things in my life that I love doing, and that's sport and music.
Ale já miluju dvě věci, a to je sport a hudba.
And I think that didn't came from my mother.
A myslím, že to nemám po své mamce.
I'm sorry, Mom.
Promiň, mami.
I still love you.
Pořád tě miluju.
These things are from my father because ever since I was born, we went out and play a lot of sports, and now we are playing in a band in our church, and actually I'm the one who's leading it. So my father is under me.
Už od malička mě táta vedl ke sportům a teď v církvi hrajeme v kapele a já tu kapelu vedu, takže vlastně taťka je pode mnou.
Okay. As a child, when I was a child, there were some things that I hated about my parents. I guess it was the same with you. So are there some things that you actually didn't like about them, but now when you are looking back, you are grateful for it?
Yes, there are a few things. I remember that my parents were and still are, I don't know the word, but they have some values and they want to live by them.
Moji rodiče vždycky byli a jsou velmi zásadaví.
And they also want me to live by their values.
A oni chtějí, abych já byl také zásadový.
So it means, for example, in this area, finances.
Takže například pokud se bavíme o penězích,
I remember that every time I wanted to buy like new mobile phone or a laptop,
pamatuju si, že kdykoliv jsem si chtěl koupit nějaký nový počítač nebo mobil,
they would give me some money for Christmas or birthday.
dali by mi nějaké peníze na Vánoce nebo na narozeniny.
But if I still didn't have enough, they wouldn't lend me more.
Ale pokud jsem potom už neměl dost, tak mi nic navíc nepůjčili.
Even if it was just a little.
Ani trochu.
They would tell me, you can buy it when you have the money.
A řekli mi, kup si to, až budeš mít peníze.
So I hate it, but now I appreciate it because I would have spent all of my money, even those which I don't have.
Nenáviděl jsem to, ale teďko oceňuji, protože mě to naučilo, jak zacházet s penězi.
The second thing I remember is that I used to go to this choir when I was going to elementary school.
Za druhé, když jsem chodil na základku, tak jsem také zpíval ve sboru.
And we had a concert on Christmas and we sang there these Christmas songs.
A měli jsme nějaký vánoční koncert, tak jsme zpívali různé vánoční koledy a písničky.
And there was a song, one about, we call it in Czech like devils.
A byla tam jedna písnička o čertech,
Like the funny one.
takových těch z pohádek.
But we are Christians, my family were Christians, there still is, and my father went to the teacher and told her that we are Christians and he don't want me to sing that song because we don't make fun of these things.
A můj taťka šel za tou učitelkou toho sboru a řekl jí, že nechce, abych já tuhle písničku zpíval, protože jsme křesťané a my si z čertu legraci neděláme.
So during the concert I was the only one who was standing there and didn't sing.
Takže na tom koncertě já jsem stál ve sboru a vůbec jsem nespíval tu písničku.
So I guess if it happened in Fusion I would get fired.
Kdybych tohle udělal ve Fusionu, tak by mě asi vyhodili.
And the last thing I hated when I was little was that my parents forced me to go to these piano lessons.
Další věc, kterou jsem nenáviděl, bylo, že mě rodiče nutili chodit na lekce klavíru.
For 7 years.
7 let.
For 7 years I hated, I cried, I wanted to quit.
7 let jsem to nenáviděl, plakal jsem, nechtěl jsem to dělat,
But they still forced me.
ale oni mě k tomu donutili.
And after 7 years of hate,
A po 7 letech nenávisti
I started to like it.
mě to začalo celkem bavit.
And because of those 7 years, I started playing drums and guitar, and I guess that's why I'm now singing with you the worship songs.
A pak jsem se naučil i na bicí, i na kytaru, díky tomu. A to je asi taky důvod, proč teď tady můžu vést tuhle kapelu.
Yeah. And also I remember one last thing about my parents, and I still hate it actually. When I was little, I wasn't very tidy.
Další věc, co jsem nenáviděl a stále nenávidím, je to, že jako malý já jsem nebyl úplně pořádný.
Actually, I was like messy.
Měl jsem rád nepořádek.
So every time I wanted to watch TV or do something that I enjoyed doing.
Takže pokaždé, když jsem chtěl se dívat na televizi nebo hrát na počítači nebo dělat něco, co mě bavilo,
They would ask me, "Hey David, have you cleaned your room?
tak se mě zeptali, Davide, už jsi uklidil svůj pokoj?
Have you cleaned your room?"
Uklidil jsi svůj pokoj?
And they are still saying it,
A říkají to i teď.
even though now, because I'm studying in Olomouc, I live there during the week.
I když teď bydlím a studuju v Olomouci,
I've learned all these things like vacuuming, cleaning, and I think I'm good at it actually.
Všechno jsem se to naučil uklízet, vysávat, mít nádoby a myslím si, že už jsem v tom celkem dobrý.
But every time I come back to home,
Ale pokaždé, když přijdu domů,
in my parents' eyes, I'm still the old messy boy.
v očích svých rodičů jsem furt ten malý, nepořádný kluk.
Oh man, I know what you are talking about. Okay, there's a lot of things. When you look back at all of this, then growing up, would you define your family more like normal or abnormal kind of family?
I remember that when I was little, I felt like my family was normal.
Pamatuju si, že když jsem byl malý, tak jsem si říkal, že moje rodina je celkem normální.
Because everything that's supposed to work in my family, in families,
Protože všechno, co by v rodině mělo fungovat,
actually worked in mine.
tak v té mojí fungovalo.
I felt safe in my family.
Cítil jsem se tam bezpečně.
I love my parents and I wanted to go back home. I never remember that I wanted to like go away from my parents.
Miloval jsem svoje rodiče a nepamatuji se, že bych někdy chtěl jako utéct nebo prostě být pryč od svých rodičů.
So in that view, I felt like my family was normal.
Takže z tohohle pohledu bych řekl, že moje rodina byla normální.
But I also remember that I knew that we are Christians.
Ale taky si pamatuju, že věděl jsem, že jsme křesťané.
And I knew we are different.
Věděl jsem, že jsme tak trochu jiní.
And I was actually ashamed of that when I was at school.
A celkem jsem se za to ve škole styděl.
Because I wanted to fit to my group, to my friends.
Protože jsem chtěl zapadnout mezi svoje spolužáky.
I didn't want to be different.
Nechtěl jsem být jiný.
Okay. And after all of this, so when was the first time when you actually like decided something for yourself? I got it, like your family, your parents are Christians, and they wanted you to do many things. But was there some special moment or some decision that you was like, oh, this is mine. This is not my parents. This is not like, you know, my family kind of tree, but this is like my thing.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't know if it was the first decision I've made.
Nevím, jestli to bylo úplně to první moje vlastní rozhodnutí.
But I think it was the main one.
Ale bylo to hlavní.
And it was when I was 13 years old.
Když mi bylo asi 13.
I went to this weekend with a youth group from my church.
Byl jsem na víkendovce s mládeží z naší církve.
And there was this opportunity to pray with God and tell him that he would forgive my sins and that I want him to lead my life from now on.
A tam byla taková výzva, abych se modlil k Bohu a poprosil ho, aby mi odpustil moje hříchy a aby vedl můj život od teďka.
And I did that. I've made a decision right there.
A já jsem to udělal. Já jsem se rozhodl.
And my parents weren't there.
Moji rodiče tam nebyli.
And I also remember that at that point, I've realized that I am influenced by my circumstances.
V tu chvíli jsem si uvědomil, že moje okolnosti mě ovlivňují.
But they don't define who I am.
Ale neurčují to, kým jsem.
I knew all these Christian things theoretically. I went to church.
Teoreticky jsem všechno o křesťanství věděl, chodil jsem do církve.
But that doesn't make me a Christian.
Ale to ze mě nedělalo křesťana.
So my parents were great and they showed me the path.
Moji rodiče byli skvělí, ukázali mi cestu.
But I had to walk through it.
Ale já jsem se musel rozhodnout po ní jít.
My parents couldn't do it for me.
To moji rodiče za mě udělat nemohli.
Okay, David, thank you for sharing all of that. I give a hand to David.
Is Riley here?
Red alert!
Board, 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 board.
There's a boy in my house.
I knew she was going skating, but I thought it was with her friends.
Why is there a boy in my
This
house?
isn't a date, is it?
What are you looking for, Jordan? Something to steal?
Like our daughter.
Should we say something?
No. Don't be expecting that. Give him the silent treatment. He's about to crack. I can feel it.
Kid, what you looking at?
Probably your dumb hat. So, Jordan, what do you like to do for fun?
I don't know. Stuff. Oh, I play in a band. That's fun.
Wait! We were in a band. I was in a band. Lead guitar.
Cool. I rock the bass.
We played
my
a
favorite
lot
band
of
is
AC/DC.
What?
Did you leave Jordan with Dad? Mom, this is so embarrassing.
Riley, your father would never do anything.
Tender, brown-eyed woman with a bright smile and a beautiful voice. A woman full of love, peace, and acceptance. Her house is always open and full of people and good food. And her day actually seems to have more hours than mine. She's a leader who sees people's needs and serves them. Please welcome Esther. Hey Esther, it's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So my first question will be actually the same. How would you finish the sentence, hello, my name is?
Hello, my name is Loneliness.
Moje jméno je samota.
Loneliness? That actually does not sound like you. Why do you feel lonely, or why would you fit this into that sentence?
So, this loneliness came into my life when I was a girl.
Osamělost přišla do mého života už když jsem byla malá holka.
When I had a need to see my father as someone who really loves me.
Měla jsem potřebu, aby mě můj taťka miloval.
He was a great father.
Sorry?
He was a great father.
Byl to super otec.
But me as a young teenager,
ale já jsem byla malý puberťák.
and I needed his presence as a father who would love me as his princess.
A potřebovala jsem, aby mě on miloval jako svoji princeznu.
A very short example.
Uvedu krátký příklad.
My mother made me a beautiful coat.
Moje mamka mi ušila super kabát.
And I felt in it like a princess.
Cítila jsem se v něm jako princezna.
And I came to my dad and I said, God, how do you like this?
Přišla jsem za svým tačkou a zeptala jsem se ho, jak se ti líbí ten kabát.
And he was doing something on a table.
On něco dělal na svém stole.
And he gave me this look, huh?
A takhle se na mě podíval.
So in his eyes, I was reading, what do you really want from me?
Jeho oči říkali něco jako, co ode mě čekáš?
And I felt like, okay, this probably is not going to work.
Tak jsem si říkala, tohle asi nebude fungovat.
Maybe I will never be like a girl for him. He really appreciates as a girl.
Asi nikdy nebudu jeho dcera, kterou by opravdu ocenil, protože to je jeho dcera.
Because for the rest of my teenage years, I really had this lie in my head.
Protože od té doby se v mojí hlavě usadila taková lež,
that I rather be a boy for him who is a great helper.
Že bych radši měla být pro svého taťku takovým klukem, který je skvělým pomocníkem.
And that will get his attention.
A tím si získám jeho pozornost.
And then he will love me.
A pak mě bude milovat.
So I really tried hard,
tak jsem se opravdu snažila.
but trying hard, I felt lonely.
Snažila jsem se a cítila jsem se osamělá.
And I had this big lifelong question
A měl jsem takovou životní otázku
up today.
až do dneška.
Will there ever be someone who will love me just for who I am?
Je někdo, kdo mě bude mi dát takovou kvůli tomu, jaká jsem?
No matter what I do.
Ať už dělám cokoliv, ať už jsem jakákoliv.
So that's my big question that brings loneliness.
To je ta velká otázka, která ve mně vzbuzuje pocit osamělosti.
Well, that actually sounds kind of sad. How do you cope with it now, you know, as a grown-up woman?
I deal with that on everyday basis.
Musím se s tím vypořádávat každý den.
I still have this need of affirmation.
Pořád mám tuhle potřebu ocenění od někoho.
I still have a need to be praised for good things.
A pořád mám tu potřebu, aby mě lidi chválili za dobré věci, které dělám.
I still have the need of love.
Pořád mám potřebu, aby mě někdo miloval.
Especially in the times when I feel lonely.
Hlavně, když se cítím fakt osamělá.
And I felt really lonely even from God.
A i s Bohem jsem se cítila velmi osamělá.
When both of my sons had cancer.
Když oba moji synové dostali rakovinu.
But especially in the times in my marriage.
Ale hlavně, když v mém manželství.
I had a wonderful husband for 28 years.
28 let jsem měla skvělého manžela.
But for 7 years he was fighting with computer addictions.
Ale 7 let byl závislý na počítačových hrách.
And during these 7 years,
a za těch 7 let
this crack of loneliness became really wide.
Se ta díra ve mně, ta osamělost v mém srdci opravdu zvětšila.
And all these feelings of feeling lonely and unimportant.
A všechny ty pocity osamění a nedůležitosti.
And feelings of not being attractive enough for him.
A pocit toho, že pro něho nejsem dost přitažlivá.
Not good enough.
Dost dobrá.
Not valuable at all.
Vůbec dost dobrá pro něho.
And totally unimportant.
A absolutně nedůležitá.
So these feelings were overwhelming. They were flowing out from myself.
Takže tyhle pocity mě úplně převálcovaly.
And especially every time he sat at computer.
Pokaždé, když jsem ho viděla, jak sedí za tím svým počítačem.
So my perception about myself was the computer is more important than me.
Takže já jsem viděla, že pro něho je počítač důležitější než já.
So the crack was really big.
Takže ta díra v mém srdci byla opravdu velká.
Yeah, that actually sounds like a lot of feelings. How do you manage like all of this? I cannot imagine even like if this would be my life. How do you manage this day by day?
I have to manage this every day.
Musím se s tím vypořádávat každý den.
I understood that God loves me.
Já vím, že mě Bůh miluje,
but it's here in my head.
Ale to je jenom informace v mojí hlavě.
But every day I have to decide this is truth.
Ale každý den se musím rozhodovat, že to budu brát jako pravdu.
Because the need to be assured about my value is still here.
Protože ta potřeba ujištění o vlastní hodnotě ve mně stále je.
And this crack became even bigger.
A ta díra v mém srdci se ještě zvětšila.
When my husband died 2 years ago.
Když můj manžel umřel.
God really helped us to get a wonderful marriage last 10 years.
Bůh nám pomohl, abychom měli posledních 10 let skvělého manželství.
And I really enjoyed his love and loving him.
A užívala jsem si jeho lásku a to, že jsem já milovala jeho.
After he healed our marriage.
Potom, co Bůh uzdravil naše manželství.
And suddenly he died.
A pak najednou umřel.
So can you imagine the loneliness became really big.
Tak si asi dokážete představit, že jsem se cítila vážně osamělá.
So when these feelings of loneliness and unimportance come,
Takže když tyhle pocity osamění a nedůležitosti přijdou,
I decided to change it by the truth that God loves me.
rozhodnu se změnit je tou pravdou, kterou vím, že Bůh mě miluje.
And God helped me this way. He gave me a wonderful picture.
A Bůh mi pomohl takhle.
He said to me, just sit here on this swing with me.
Bůh mi řekl, seď tady na té houpačce se mnou,
Just you and me.
jenom ty a já.
And enjoy my presence every day, 24 hours a day.
A každý den, 24 hodin denně si užívej moji přítomnost.
I'm here for you.
Jsem tady pro tebe.
You don't need to perform.
Nemusíš si na nic hrát,
You don't need to do for me and for others.
nemusíš pro mě ani pro nikoho jiného nemusíš nic dělat.
You're loved who you are.
Miluji tě takovou, jaká jsi.
You're precious.
Jsi pro mě
You're
cenná.
never lonely.
Nikdy se nemusíš cítit sama.
That sounds a bit different than loneliness.
Very different.
Yeah, so that's like two things together, right? So is there another word, if you could use two, that you could fit into this sentence instead of loneliness?
So I definitely would switch it. My name is Rest in the Lord.
Řekla bych, moje jméno je spočinutí v Bohu.
Okay, thank you, Esther, for being honest and for sharing all of that.
You're welcome.
I'm the cool dad. That's my thing. I'm hip. I surf the web. I text. LOL. Laugh out loud. OMG. Oh my God. WTF? Why the face? I know all the dances to High School Musical. So we're all in this together. Yes, we are. We're all stars. That means something. You know it.
So this video pretty much introduced our next guest, a cool dad. People also say about him that he is a rock, body of a marine, playful heart of a child. His wife calls him sexy beast. She also says that he's a man who will often find laughing, lifting, eating, exercising, coming up with crazy ideas, and getting excited. Please welcome Casey. Ciao, Casey. So,
Wow.
it's good to have you here. So again, you heard it already 2 times. I have the same question for you. Our theme song is Hello, my name is. How would you finish this sentence?
Hello, my name is. I can do it all by myself.
Moje jméno je, jsem na to sám.
Casey, I know about you that your dad passed 2 years ago. What is the thing that you miss the most about him?
Oh man, excuse me. When I was young, my dad would take us everywhere. He took us camping and fishing.
Když jsme byli malí, tak nás taťka bral tábořit a na ryby a všude.
He took us to work with him. He took my brothers and I everywhere, and I loved it.
Bral nás do práce a všude a já jsem to miloval.
But it wasn't always perfect.
Nebylo to ale vždycky takové dokonalé.
What do you mean that it wasn't always perfect? Like, was there anything that wasn't that great, or?
Yeah, so my dad was a lifelong alcoholic.
Můj taťka byl alkoholik.
He drank a ton and partied a ton before I was born.
Než jsem se narodil, tak vážně hodně pil a i bral drogy.
And right when I was born, my mom threatened to take baby Casey and leave if he didn't shape up.
Ale potom, co jsem se narodil, tak mu moje máma vyhrožovala, že pokud se nezlepší, takže se mnou odejde.
And he did shape up for a while.
A on se zlepšil na nějaký čas.
But as I became a young teenager, he started to drink a lot.
Ale když jsem byl asi teenager, tak zase znovu začal pít opravdu hodně.
And the more he drank, the more alcohol just took him away from us.
A čím víc pil, tím méně byl doma pro nás přítomný.
So especially in my young and later teenage years, my dad really wasn't very present.
Takže hlavně v pubertě můj taťka nebyl doma vůbec skoro.
Mm-hmm. Hey Casey, I also know that you joined Marines, right? Why did you do that?
Yeah, so my parents finally divorced when I was like 16 and a half.
Když mi bylo kolem 16, tak se moji rodiče konečně rozvedli.
And I was extremely frustrated.
Byl jsem naštvaný.
My dad wasn't very present, and then he had really let me down.
Můj taťka jako nikdy tam nebyl doma přítomný, ale v tomhle mě vážně zklamal.
I just decided I was gonna do life on my own.
Rozhodl jsem se, že jsem na to v životě sám.
I don't want to be like my dad. I don't want to be like my family. I'm gonna do my own thing and leave.
Nechci být jako můj taťka, nechci být jako moje rodina. Budu to dělat po svém a prostě odejdu.
And about 24 hours before I left for the Marines,
A asi 24 hodin předtím, než jsem odjel do armády,
I just come back from camping with my friends, and I walked in our house.
tak jsem se vrátil z táboření se svými přáteli.
And there was my dad, and he looked at me and said he loved me.
A doma byl můj taťka, on se na mě podíval a řekl mi, že mě miluje.
And I hadn't heard him say that since most of my life. I couldn't remember.
Já jsem si nemohl vzpomenout, kdy mi tohle naposledy řekl.
And then I realized he was completely smashed drunk.
Ale pak jsem si uvědomil, že on je úplně opilý.
I left the house and cried for hours.
Tak jsem odešel z toho domu a hodiny jsem plakal.
Did he really know me? He wasn't even present.
Můj taťka mě moc neznal, on jako nebyl přítomný doma.
Did he really love me? Or was he just really drunk?
Miloval mě doopravdy, anebo to říkal jenom proto, že byl tak moc opilý?
Well, the next day, I said my goodbyes and headed off to the Marines.
Další den jsem se rozloučil a odjel do armády.
I don't need you. I'm going to do this on my own.
Nepotřebuju vás, já to zvládnu sám.
Well, how I know you today, it's totally different case. You know, you have 2 kids, beautiful wife. What happened? You know, you left for Marines, now you are different. Was there something that changed you, or what happened?
Yeah, now I'm a missionary in Central and Eastern Europe. A lot's happened since then.
Teď jsem ale misionář tady v Evropě, takže asi se celkem hodně od té doby změnilo.
Well, eventually, I actually had to tell God, I give up. I cannot do it on my own.
A přišel moment, kdy jsem Bohu musel říct, že na to nemám, že to sám nezvládnu.
By trying to do life on my own, I just felt hollow inside.
Snažil jsem se žít život sám, podle sebe, ale uvnitř jsem se cítil prázdný.
I had to just say, God, I give up. I actually need you for my life.
Musel jsem říct, Bože, já to vzdávám, já tě potřebuju.
And I just had to let God's love fill me up, fill my bones.
Musel jsem Boží lásku nechat, aby mě naplnila.
Actually go from here and something I learned in Sunday school into my heart that God loved me.
Musel jsem to, co jsem kdysi v církvi slyšel v hlavě, nechat, aby se to dostalo až do mého srdce.
And Jesus knows me. He knows everything about me, the good, the bad, all of it.
Ježíš mě zná, on ví o mě úplně všechno, ví o mě všechno dobré a i všechno špatné.
And he loves me so fully. My bones, my heart, everything is so full of his love.
A on mě tak moc miluje. Já jsem plný jeho lásky.
And Jesus just delights in me. He likes me.
A Ježíš mě má rád.
And yeah, because of that love, my life is so different than trying to do it on my own.
Ta láska změnila můj život úplně na ruby.
Okay, I have one more question. Since you have kind of tough childhood, right? What do you wanna, or what you are doing differently with your boys compared to your dad?
Yeah, so I have 2 boys. They're 6 and 8.
Mám 2 syny, je jim 6 a 8.
And I just love hanging out with them, just being present with them.
Rád s nima prostě jenom jsem přítomný, jsem s nima.
Sometimes that means walking around the zoo or playing with Legos.
Někdy to znamená, že jdeme do zoo, nebo že něco stavíme z lega.
Or wrestling. They love fight time with dad.
Nebo spolu zápasíme, to oni vážně milujou.
And also just being a father to them, giving them some discipline and teaching them how to work.
Ale taky se snažím být prostě otcem, dát jim nějakou tu disciplínu a něco je naučit.
See, David talked about his dad and rules his dad had for him.
David mluvil o nějakých principech, které jeho rodiče chtěli, aby on dodržoval.
When I was a teenager, I had no rules. I could do absolutely whatever I wanted.
Když jsem já byl teenager, tak já jsem si mohl dělat úplně, co jsem chtěl. Neměl jsem žádná pravidla.
My dad really wasn't there to guide me in my life, so I want to guide my boys.
Můj otec něco takového nedělal, takže já bych chtěl takhle svým synům pomoct v životě taky.
And one thing you need to know about my youngest son Benny is that he has autism.
Jedna věc, kterou vám chci říct o svém mladším synu Benim, je to, že je autista.
And some days Benny is really hard to love.
A někdy je opravdu těžké Bennyho milovat.
Benny's never going to be massively successful in life. He'll never be a doctor or a famous musician.
Benny nebude nikdy v životě úspěšný, nebude nikdy asi nebude nikdy slavný hudebník nebo doktor.
Well, who knows what God will do? God can do anything.
Ale kdo ví, protože Bůh může udělat cokoliv.
But what I know God can do is he can fill me up so much with his love that I can love Benny fully.
Ale vím, že Bůh mě dokáže naplnit svojí láskou tak moc, že potom já mám dost lásky na to, abych miloval Bennyho.
Because of Jesus' love, I can change my family background and I can love my kids unconditionally.
Díky Ježíšově lásce já jsem schopný milovat svoje děti bezpodmínečně.
They don't have to earn it. They're just loved.
Nepotřebuju si to nějak zasloužit, já je prostě miluju, protože proto.
Okay, Casey, thank you for being here. Give a hand. And I would just like to shortly look back at all of these people and what they said. So what David said is that there are some circumstances that are in our lives, but the decisions, what we will do in our lives, it's our own. We can accept good things and resist the bad things, but finally in the end, it's our decision, what we will do with our life. What Esther said was that there are sometimes hard things coming into our lives, and she can feel lonely, but at the same time, she can decide that she will rest in God. So it's up to us what we will do with those things. And the last was Casey, and he said that there are some backgrounds in our families that doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be good, but that's not something what should shape families that we will once have. We can change it, and we can do it differently. So even thought Casey's that wasn't maybe the best for him, Casey can be totally different now with his boys. So I would love if you can just one last time give a hand to all of these 3 people. Jo.